The movie begins with a young girl named Harper, walking into a party with some friends. She moves around the party, chatting with people and having fun. While doing so, she keeps an eye out for her crush. To seem cool in front of him, she starts flirting and even makes out with him. However, when things start to escalate, Harper expresses her discomfort and decides to leave. Her crush mocks her for being such a coward, but she simply ignores him. Harper then looks around for her brother, Adam, who appears to be talking to his best friend Tilly. When she explains that she feels uncomfortable at the party, the three decide to head home. Harper protests that they didn't need to leave so soon, but Adam explains that her crush, Justin, is a creep who badmouths everyone, so it's best to ignore him altogether. The next day, Harper goes to school and attends her classes. As she's talking to her friend, Justin walks up and invites her to hang out with him and his friends. Harper readily agrees and squeals with excitement, thrilled to be invited to hang out with sophomores. When Harper finally arrives at the house of Justin's friend Ethan, she finds a group of guys smoking and playing video games. Unsure of what to do, she sits on one of the sofas and attempts to smoke with them. Tilly, who is also there, looks concerned and asks if Adam knows where she is. Harper replies that he doesn't and assures Tilly that she'll just call him later on. At that moment, Justin sits beside her and tries to ask her to do his homework. But before he can ask her about it, Ethan calls him to help him with the game. As Justin walks away, Tilly advises Harper that Justin will likely try to get her to do his assignments, so it's best to act dumb around him. Harper agrees and continues chatting with him. Moments later, Tilly informs Harper that he's going home. Since they're neighbors, Harper tells him that she wants to come along as well, because everything about Justin is just boring. Tilly agrees, and so, the two begin walking home in complete silence. In order to make things less awkward, Harper tries to strike up a conversation. She talks about the leaves and anything that catches her eye. Thankfully, Tilly takes the hint and asks her how she's finding high school as a freshman. Harper happily responds that everything is going well and insists that high school isn't as bad as people say. She then asks Tilly about his classes to keep the conversation going. Tilly replies that it's good and then asks her if she'd like to come up to his room to see something cool. Harper agrees, and they head up to his room, where Tilly shows her his leaf collection. He explains that he loves nature, so he collects leaves from all sorts of trees. Shortly after, Tilly asks Harper if she'd like to smoke with him. Harper agrees, so Tilly puts on some music and then hands her a... Not wanting to seem like a nerd, Harper lights it up and starts smoking. However, she instantly starts coughing badly. Tilly takes it from her and smokes instead. As Harper looks at the photos on the walls, she compliments Tilly on how good he looks in them. Tilly smiles and thanks her. They then get closer and share a gentle kiss. Soon, they begin making out passionately. After spending some time together, Harper tells Tilly she wants to head home. Tilly agrees and quickly says goodbye. Once she's gone, Tilly smiles to himself and blushes profusely. It's evident that he had a massive crush on Harper. Later that night, Tilly stalks Harper's social media and stares at her pictures, clearly smitten. Meanwhile, Harper can't stop thinking about Tilly and reminisces about the time they spent together. The next day, Harper considers talking to Tilly, but she sees him having fun with other girls and decides against it. After school, Harper sees Tilly and Adam hanging out together, but can't seem to muster up the courage to approach him. She quietly heads back home and proceeds to do her homework. While working, she glances outside and sees Adam and Tilly playing basketball. Infatuated, she stares at Tilly for hours. The following day, Harper walks out of her house to take out the trash. Just then, Tilly approaches her and tries to strike up a conversation. The two decide to walk to school together, and as they walk, they talk about their classes and the drama club. Harper asks Tilly about the upcoming school play, and Tilly excitedly shares that he finally got a big part. Harper congratulates him and assures him he'll do well. During class, Justin tries to joke around and flirts with Harper, but she just laughs and ignores him. After school, while Harper and her friends are heading home, Tilly notices her and stares for a while. That evening, Tilly visits Harper's house under the pretense of getting his notes. Harper, trying to contain her excitement, invites him in and calls for Adam to help. Harper goes back to doing her homework, but she also continues eavesdropping on Adam and Tilly's conversation. After he leaves, she sneakily follows him. However, as soon as she steps outside, Tilly notices her and asks what he's doing. Unable to reply, Harper just keeps stuttering. At that moment, Tilly tells her that he needs to go back inside the house to grab something he left. Harper offers to get it for him, and Tilly agrees. It's evident the two wanted to meet each other in secret. Before going back into the house, Harper moves closer to Tilly and places a slight peck on his lips. Tilly reciprocates back and then suggests they hang out together often. Harper agrees while blushing and asks him if he came to her house just to see her. Tilly replies that he did and proceeds to ask her if she came out of the house just to watch him leave. Harper looks away in embarrassment and agrees. She then runs back into the house. At night, Harper stalks Tilly's Instagram and likes some of his posts, hoping that he might take the hint. The next day, Harper and Tilly decide to hang out together and stroll around the park. There, they talk about their hobbies, interests, and even their future plans. At one point, Tilly asks Harper which part of India she is from. Tilly replies that she was born in a small village in the central part of India. She explains that her mom couldn't afford to raise her, so when she was 3, she was moved to an orphanage in Delhi. So, Harper's adoptive parents found her there through an online program and took her right away. That's when Tilly exclaims that he remembers when Harper first came to the neighborhood and even talks about Adam being brought in years ago. Tilly laughs and then expresses her gratitude towards her parents for providing her with a better life. Eventually, Tilly asks Harper if she ever thinks about her biological parents and wishes she was with them instead. Harper replies that she does, and even reveals to him that a lady who claims to be her cousin from India sends her letters frequently, asking if she's doing well in the US. After a while of talking, the two decide to part ways. They bid each other goodbye and proceeded to head back home. While walking, they keep stealing glances from each other and blush profusely. When Harper finally gets home, she immediately washes her hands and sits down with her family for dinner. There, they all talk happily and even crack some lighthearted jokes. At one point, Harper's mom, Jocelyn, asks her if she's having any trouble making friends in high school. Harper replies that she's blending in fine, and even says that her studies are going really well. Jocelyn simply nods and then asks Adam about Tilly. She inquires if he's doing okay, and even asks if he ever talks about his mom. Adam shrugs, exclaiming that Tilly doesn't really talk about his family. It turns out that Tilly's mom recently passed away, so he's been having a really hard time adjusting to it all. Eventually, after a while of talking, Harper wishes her parents good night and goes to bed. The next morning, Harper gets really excited to meet Tilly. As she enters the school premises, she sees him talking to a girl and instantly gets jealous. She tries to approach him, but that's when her friends come over and drag her away to class. When Harper finally gets home, she texts Tilly, asking him to meet her. She explains that they need to talk, and Tilly readily agrees. Moments later, they meet at a park where Harper asks if he's dating his classmate Luna. Tilly is shocked by the sudden question and asks why she's so curious. Harper shrugs, explaining that she saw them laughing and talking together at school. Tilly immediately denies it, exclaiming that they're just close friends who hang out with the same group of people. He then asks Harper if she's dating any of her classmates, to which she instantly replies no. The conversation eventually shifts to their childhood memories, and they spend the rest of their time reminiscing and enjoying each other's company. Later, Harper and Tilly's families have dinner together at the house of Tilly's father, Mark, chatting casually. Mark serves his signature dishes while talking to Jocelyn and her husband, Bob. He talks about his job as a college professor and mentions that he's trying to change some of the sexist rules there. Harper praises him for it, adding that women shouldn't have to live up to society's standards all the time. Tilly is impressed by Harper's strong stance on women's rights and her knowledge of the topic. After dinner, Harper's family decides to head home. They thanked Mark and Tilly for the great food and said goodbye. Before leaving, Harper blushes and tells Tilly she can't wait to see him again. She runs back to her house, and when she reaches the porch, she turns back, smiles at him, and then walks inside. The next day, after school, Harper excitedly walks up to Tilly and hugs him tightly. Tilly wraps his arms around her and asks what she wants to do. Harper says she's in the mood for something adventurous. Tilly smiles and places his forehead against hers. The two flirt for quite a while, giggling and blushing the entire time. Later, they get on a train and roam around the entire city. They walk through parks, petting dogs as they pass by, and also stroll through thick jungles whilst chatting casually. Eventually, they stop for lunch and talk about their childhoods, cracking jokes and having a great time. When it's time to head home, Tilly and Harper decide they want to keep hanging out. Tilly tells Harper he'll call his dad to let him know, and suggests she do the same, in case her parents are worried since she's been out all day. Harper reassures Tilly that her parents trust her and won't be too concerned. A little while later, they head to Tilly's room and lie down on the bed, contemplating what to do next. Harper moves closer to Tilly and kisses him. They begin making out intensely, and after a moment, a nervous but excited Harper starts to take off her top. She shakily confesses to Tilly that she's never gone this far before. Tilly admits that he hasn't either, and suggests they do something else instead. However, Harper insists that she wants to try something new, urging Tilly to get a condom. Tilly excitedly rushes to Mark's room to grab one and returns to Harper. They sleep together, and during the moment, they confess how much they like each other. After hanging out, when Harper finally gets home, she places her hands on her face and giggles excitedly. She thinks back to the moments spent with Tilly and blushes profusely. In the meantime, Tilly also stares at his bed, awestruck by what just happened. As days pass by, Tilly and Harper get closer than ever before. They spend every passing second together and even support each other during plays and sports events. As they're new to relationships and commitment, they continue to make love all the time. Every day after school, they meet up at a park to catch up with everything that has happened so far. They joke around and absolutely love each other's company. Since they're young with no idea of how the world works, they even start planning their future together. But one day, as Tilly and Harper are cuddling and reading books at Harper's house, Adam walks in and sees them together. Infuriated, he rushes into his room without saying a word to either of them. At school, every kid starts looking at them weirdly because they're always hugging and kissing. This makes the situation incredibly awkward for both Tilly and Harper. One day after school, as Harper is leaving Tilly's house, her mom, Jocelyn, sees her and demands that she come home immediately. As soon as they enter the house, Jocelyn asks Harper if she's having sex with Tilly. Harper denies it, saying they're just friends. However, Jocelyn refuses to believe her and insists that Harper tell the truth. Annoyed, Harper asks why her mom doesn't trust her anymore. Jocelyn replies that she can't allow Harper to hang out with Tilly unsupervised, doing God knows what. Frustrated, Harper groans and begs her mom not to blow things out of proportion. Finally, Jocelyn tells Harper that she can't get intimate with Tilly anymore. This angers Harper, and she yells, insisting that she's grown up now. The next day, Harper sits down with Justin and Ethan for a group project. During this, she watches Justin mock other students for being boring virgins. Later, while hanging out with her friends, Harper feels incredibly uncomfortable as all they talk about is sex. Listening to the rumors about different girls, she begins to question whether she made the right decision by sleeping with Tilly so soon. Meanwhile, Tilly, who is working backstage for the upcoming school play, gets cornered by a girl. With a serious tone, she asks him what's going on between him and Harper. Tilly replies that he's dating her because she's smart, funny, and honest. The girl nods and wishes him well. After school, Tilly and Harper decide to go to Harper's place. They walk home, chatting casually, and eventually arrive. In Harper's room, Tilly looks around at her posters and decor. He then asks Harper what they should do. She suggests they could just have sex since her parents aren't home. Tilly agrees, and the two spend the rest of their time embracing each other. Days pass by, and things start to get more and more difficult for both Tilly and Harper. All the boys in school make fun of Tilly and bully him for dating his best friend's sister. Meanwhile, Harper also starts to get weird looks and stares from her friends, who always ask her about her getting some action. They also start excluding her from their plans, since she's always hanging out with Tilly. At school, Tilly tries to talk to Adam multiple times, but Adam continues to ignore him. Every day, Tilly runs after Adam to sort things out, but nothing seems to work. Frustrated, he tells Harper about the situation, and the two try to come up with a plan to persuade Adam to accept their relationship. While discussing it, they head over to the basketball court. There, Harper approaches her best friend Abby, but Abby just walks away, clearly hurt by Harper's recent behavior. Despite this, Harper and Tilly run after her and ask if they can play basketball together. Thankfully, Abby agrees, and they all throw basketballs while chatting casually. During this, Abby and her friends subtly mock Tilly, which deeply hurts Harper. Feeling suffocated, Harper and Tilly decide to leave and walk home together. Unlike other days, they choose to go their separate ways and focus on their homework instead of spending hours hanging out. At home, Tilly texts Adam again, trying to mend their relationship. He jokes around and begs Adam to forgive him, and eventually, Adam agrees. However, he still keeps Tilly at a distance and doesn't reply as often. Seeing this, Tilly sighs in relief that Adam has at least stopped ignoring him, then returns to his homework. The next day, Tilly tells Harper that he's hanging out with Ethan and his friends after school. Harper nods and mentions that she's planning to go shopping with her best friends as well. With that, they say their goodbyes and part ways. Later, Tilly goes to Ethan's house and finds Adam playing video games with the boys. He sits on a sofa, trying to think of a way to talk to Adam. Just then, Adam gets up and walks out of the room. Tilly takes this chance to approach him and asks for help with their math homework. At that moment, Ethan and his friends start making crude jokes about Tilly sleeping with Harper in front of Adam. Now furious, Adam storms out. Meanwhile, Ethan's friend Liam continues to mock and slut-shame Harper, calling her nasty names. Unable to tolerate it, Tilly leaves Ethan's house as well. The next day, while walking together, Harper asks Tilly if he wants her to come to his drama rehearsal. Tilly immediately refuses, saying he's not ready to act in front of her yet. In reality, he just doesn't want to face more bullying from the guys in his class. He also feels incredibly guilty for betraying Adam and wants to make things right. Harper, sensing Tilly's feelings, understands and wishes him the best, then walks away with Abby. At school, Tilly continues following Adam, hoping for a chance to clear the air. Eventually, Adam notices this and confronts Tilly, asking why he's stalking him. Tilly explains that he doesn't want to lose his best friend. At that moment, Adam blows up on Tilly, demanding to know why he lost his virginity to Harper, of all people. Adam then says he can't look at either of them the same way, so they can't be friends anymore, and walks away. His words deeply hurt Tilly. Overwhelmed with emotions, he quickly wipes away his tears and proceeds to head home. Just then, Harper approaches him, trying to chat as usual, but Tilly cuts her off, explaining that he doesn't want to deal with her right now. He then runs out of the school, leaving her stunned. Now shocked, Harper tries to stay calm and walks back to her class. On her way, she overhears Justin talking about the day Adam stormed off. Curious, Harper asks what happened, and Justin reveals that Liam had slut-shamed her, causing both Adam and Tilly to leave Ethan's house. As expected, Harper is shocked and asks for clarification. Justin tells her that everyone knows she has already had sex with 3 guys, which is why people are talking about her. Harper is devastated to hear this rumor, so she runs away to her class, wiping her tears in the process. Eventually, Harper decides to fight against what was said about her, so she approaches Liam and asks him how he's such an expert at sex. She then berates him for judging other people and spreading rumors without any proof. Shocked by Harper's words, Liam just remains silent. Finally, she yells at him for not knowing anything, grabs his to scare him, and storms off, leaving Liam embarrassed. That night, while hanging out, Harper tells Tilly that she knows about Liam slut-shaming her. Tilly apologizes for not standing up for her and for what was said. Harper nods and then asks if Adam has come around. With a solemn expression, Tilly explains that Adam is still angry about their relationship and no longer wants to be friends. Not wanting to ruin the mood, the two change the topic and talk about their favorite shows and songs. The next day, Harper approaches her friends to find out what's going on. Madison explains that their classmate Henry is throwing a party that night. Abby chimes in and invites Harper to join them, but asks her not to bring Tilly, as the two are always together. Unsure how to respond, Harper just nods, and then asks what they'll be wearing to the party. In the meantime, Tilly walks up to Luna and starts chatting with her. At one point, Luna asks him about the fight between Liam and Harper. She also tells Tilly that Harper grabbed Liam's dick and informs him that everyone is talking about it now. As expected, Tilly is shocked to learn all this and doesn't know how to reply. He walks away without saying a word and tries to process everything he just heard. Later that day, Harper and Tilly get ready for Henry's Halloween party. Despite Abby's warning, Harper decides to bring Tilly along. She tries to subtly hint that he should stay back, but Tilly doesn't catch on. Eventually, Harper gives up, and the two head to Henry's house. Once there, they see Justin and his friends drinking and getting wasted. Harper decides to go over to her friends to chat, but Justin sees her and starts mocking her, calling her the dick grabber. Meanwhile, Tilly tries to hang out with his friends, but he can't stop thinking about what Luna told him. Unable to trust Harper anymore, he keeps glancing at her throughout the whole party. Sensing this, Abby reassures him that Harper only likes him and no one else. She then calls Harper an independent woman who's weighing her options. Stunned by Abby's comment, Tilly asks what she means, but Abby doesn't elaborate. On the other hand, Liam soon joins Justin and confidently tells Harper that he really liked it when she grabbed his. Harper tries to respond, but no words come out. Liam then mocks her for still dating someone like Tilly. To make matters worse, they start chanting her name to make fun of her. Unable to take it anymore, Harper runs over to Tilly and suggests they leave. Tilly readily agrees, and while sulking, walks out of the party. Noticing his mood, Harper asks why he's upset when everyone at school is bullying her. That's when Tilly snaps, accusing her of grabbing Liam's out of nowhere. He then starts to walk away. Harper runs after him, trying to clear the air, and desperately tells him that she really likes him. Tilly, however, tells her that he's tired of dating someone everyone calls a slut. Heartbroken, Harper angrily responds that all Tilly worries about is Adam, while she's labeled the school's slut for sleeping with one guy. Frustrated, she exclaims that it's unfair that girls are slut-shamed for having sex while guys are praised for it. Instead of sympathizing, Tilly blames her for touching Liam and accuses her of liking someone else. Finally, he suggests they break up. Instead of crying or begging, Harper agrees, which shocks Tilly. Now hurt, she claims that no one wants them together, and rumors will always circulate about them, so it's better to go their separate ways. Without another word, Harper storms off, leaving Tilly to regret initiating the breakup. He tries to run after her to make things right but ends up failing miserably. After that night, Harper begins ignoring Tilly completely. She goes to school alone and avoids him at every opportunity. Tilly soon realizes this and tries to move on. However, he finds himself glancing at her now and then, and frequently stalking her Instagram. Meanwhile, Harper tries to act as though she doesn't care about Tilly, but deep down, she misses him deeply. Over time, Harper gradually starts forgetting about Tilly and spends more time with her family. Adam also grows closer to her after the breakup, and things start improving for her. One day, Tilly and Harper run into each other at school. Tilly tries to talk to her, but she just rushes past him, leaving him heartbroken. When Liam mocks him, they nearly get into a fight. Later that day, Harper goes to Tilly's house to return his things. She asks him how he's holding up, and Tilly admits he's unsure, saying everything feels weird now. Harper just nods at him and wishes him the best. She then quietly walks away. Days pass, and both Tilly and Harper get busy with their lives. Harper competes in several basketball games, while Tilly focuses on his upcoming school play. He hangs out with Adam, who has finally forgiven him, and practices his lines for the play. When the day of the performance arrives, Tilly does exceptionally well. After the play, both Adam and Harper praise him for his great acting and encourage him to continue pursuing it. Tilly thanks them for their kind words and walks away. As time passes, Harper and Tilly move on with their lives and begin to forget each other. Tilly spends time with Henry and Adam, while Harper hangs out with her friends and even starts talking to some cute guys. She excels academically and actively advocates for women's rights whenever she can. One day, while walking to school, Tilly approaches Harper and asks how she's doing. Harper replies that she's fine and asks Tilly about his classes. The two catch up and enjoy each other's company. The movie finally ends with the two walking to school together, deciding to leave the past behind and start fresh.